Welcome to Motherhood from the Brain, a podcast guiding moms of preteen girls on how to navigate emotional challenges that are not addressed in school. We share real stories, expert advice, and brain-based methods for handling tough moments. Discover insights to create a deeper connection with your preteen and improve your motherhood journey. Let's tackle the uncharted territory of parenting together. Hosted by professional certified coach, Esther Babazi.
Before we begin, I want to share a brief disclaimer. I am not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or any other licensed mental health professional. On this podcast, Motherhood and the Brain, I share what has personally helped me improve my mental and emotional well-being. My hope is that by sharing my experiences, I might help even one mother out there who is struggling. What if you could feel in control of your reactions, even when your preteen is pushing all your buttons? I know it's tough, but I would love to help. That's why I created the yearless formula. If you want to stop or at least reduce yelling and really build that connection that you want with your child, I would be honored to work with you. Just head over to www.masteryourownwellbeing.com/coaching to grab a spot for a complimentary call to get a feel of what coaching is and how coaching works. Coaching will help you manage your reactions. www.masteryourownwellbeing.com/coaching. See you there. Thank you. Hello there. Welcome back to the Motherhood and the Brain podcast, episode number 39. My name is Esther Mbabazi. Imagine this. It's been a long day. You've been juggling work, errands, dinner preparations, and now your preteen is ignoring you for what seems like the 10th time. You feel frustration starting to bubble up, and before you know it, you've raised your voice. Raising your voice or yelling wasn't part of the plan, but here you are again. Now, imagine something different. Picture yourself taking a deep breath, staying calm, and responding in a way that feels aligned with your values. You see your child's shoulders relax. You feel safe. They feel safe. This version of you is within reach. It's not about being the perfect mother. It's about understanding what is happening in your brain and making small, intentional changes that shift your relationship with your preteen for the better. You see, many moms have been there. I have been there. Torn between staying calm and reacting in the heat of the moment. This inner tug of war isn't a personal failing. It's your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do. And here is the good news. You can change the story and create a relationship with your preteen that is rooted in trust and connection. The world or society or our environment where we live and where we grew up tells us that we need to be endlessly patient, nurturing, and in control all the time. Yet, at the same time, we are bombarded with messages like, children need strict discipline or else they will walk all over you. A little yelling won't hurt. We need, what kind of children will they be when they grow up if we are not very strict with them? On top of that, there is the fear of judgment, whether it's from family members, our friends, or even strangers in the grocery store. We feel the pressure to appear calm and composed, even when we are at our breaking point. To be honest, it is exhausting and it feels like a trap. Here is what is really happening. Your brain is wired or designed to protect you. Our human brain is wired to protect us. When your preteen or when your child's behavior feels overwhelming, the part of your brain that I call the protective brain, that is supposed to protect you and look out for threats, goes in overdrive when your child's behavior or when you feel your child's behavior is overwhelming. That part of your brain, the protective brain, perceives your child's defiance or your child's meltdown as a threat, and your brain reacts instantly to regain control. And this is what leads to yelling. As you know, yelling might work in the moment. It might stop the behavior, but it often leaves you feeling regretful, guilty, ashamed, and creates a gap in the trust you're trying to build with your child. Meanwhile, the part of your brain that is supposed to think things through, that works from values, what I call the thinking brain on this podcast, that part holds the bigger picture. That part of the brain knows you want to build a safe, supportive environment where your preteen feels comfortable coming to you. But in the high-stress moments, the protective brain's urgency drowns out the thinking brain's calm guidance. Inside your mind are two voices that battle for control. The protective brain's voice says things like, "They are not listening. We need to fix this now. If you don't yell, they will walk all over you." The protective brain is urgent, loud, and reactive. On the other side, the thinking brain's voice says statements like, "I want my child to feel safe coming to me. This moment is a chance for me to teach or for me to learn." The thinking brain is calm, steady, and is aligned with your values. In high-stress moments, the protective brain often wins, but it does not have to stay that way. Now, imagine yourself in one of those tough moments. Instead of yelling, you take a break, you take a pause, you take a deep breath, you hear your protective brain urging you to act fast, but you let your thinking brain guide you. You respond calmly and with intention. Your preteen's defiance softens. Now you've created a moment of connection instead of conflict. I want to let you know that this is not just wishful thinking. This is a skill that you can build. And this is how we start. You start by recognizing the voices. When you feel urgency, anger, frustration, pause. That's your protective brain talking. Ask yourself, what is my thinking brain trying to say to me right now in this moment? Take a moment to write down what is going on in your brain, or what we call on this podcast a thought download, or some people call it a thought dump. A thought download shows you what you're thinking at a given moment. The reason why I advocate for writing things down is when things are just swimming or swirling around in your head, you don't know what a fact is versus a thought. You don't know whatever your brain is just throwing at you as a sentence versus a fact. But when you write things down, for example, I asked this child or my child to get started on the homework. This feels like the 10th time I'm doing it. I feel tired. I am a bad mother. Why can't she listen to me? I made dinner. No, none of the children has shown up on the table to eat. I'm exhausted. I just came back from work. I put dinner together. Write everything that is going on at that particular time. Then you go through what you have written. And I like to put T for thought and F for fact. A thought is a sentence that your brain offers you in response to what has happened. Something happens, and then you have a thought about what has happened. That is a thought. A fact is something that happened, that when we go to the court, the judge will say it happened. A fact is not something that you made up. For example, you made dinner and served dinner, but none of the children have shown up. That is a fact. The food is on the table, you made it, but none of them have shown up. You have been asking your preteen to come and get started on the homework, but for what seems like 10 times, she has not done that. That is a fact. I asked my child to come and get started on the homework. She hasn't shown up. That is a fact. So what you think about that is what we call a thought. And the way that I teach this is through something that I call the inner coaching model. An inner coaching model is a system or a simple tool that I have where we look at our thoughts through the lens of that tool. Our inner coaching tool goes like this. We have a situation. I asked my child to come to the table, and she has not done that. What do you think about that? I think my child is disrespectful. Or I think I am, what is wrong with me? I am failing as a mother because I can't get my child to come to the table. That is a thought that you have in response to what you are thinking. And then we do another line. We have a situation asking your child to come to the table to get started on homework, and they haven't done that. That is a situation. And then we have a thought. I think there's something wrong with me as a mother, or I'm failing as a mother because I can't get her to come to the table. That is what you're thinking in response to something that happened. And then how do you feel? Maybe frustration. In this case, we are going to take frustration. You feel frustrated. And when you feel frustrated, what do? You raise your voice in an attempt to get your child to listen. That is one of the things maybe you do. Another thing would be you cry. Usually the things that we do in response to how we feel are actions. They are things that are like verbs. They are verbs. You raise your voice in an attempt to get her to come to the table. You cry. You beat yourself up. You think you're a bad mother. You call yourself names. Like there's something wrong with me. I'm a bad mother. I can't get this together. All the things that you do because you feel frustrated, because you think there's something wrong with you because you can't get your child to come to the table immediately to get started on the homework. You see how it builds up. And then the result is, what do we create from the things that we do? What is this whole inner coaching model creating for us? The inner coaching model that we have at a given time. The result, what result do we create from the things that we do or don't do? You may ignore your children. You may go and watch Netflix. You may pour yourself a glass of wine to take the edge off. When we do all those things, what result do we create in our lives? The result will always be about you. It can't be about another person because you create these results from what you're thinking. So the result line cannot be your child. It will always be about you. In this case, this result line would be something like, I make I make this harder. Like I make motherhood harder. Because when you think you're failing, when you feel frustrated, you beat yourself up, you call yourself names, you yell at your child, you pour yourself a glass of wine, you are now creating another side habit, I don't know, what do they call it? Maladaptive practice. You're creating something different. Maybe you reach for a bag of chips. All these things, what do they create when you do them? So this is why it is important to do a thought download. A thought download is a tool that we use to create awareness. You do not have to change anything. A thought download, when you have done it and you take one thought and run it in a coaching model, it creates awareness. You become aware of what you are doing, what you are creating because of the way that you think. When certain things happen in your life. Certain things happen, yes, but how you think about those situations is going to show you. And the inner coaching tool does that very beautifully. That is why I advocate for my clients to make it a habit to do thought downloads. This is the only way, and meditation, but this is the only way that I know that is going to show you what you're thinking and how to change what you are thinking to get what you want. So I said, I'm going to go back a little. You do a thought download. You look at thoughts versus facts and question those thoughts. Become curious, not in a judgmental way. No, you become curious about what you're thinking. Where is this coming from? Why am I thinking this? How is this helping me? By doing all this, you separate the protective brain's fears from the thinking brain's deeper values. And this will help you see the bigger picture more clearly, the bigger picture of what you want to achieve. Another way to rewrite your story or to create your own story is to become aware of beliefs. Again, we become aware of beliefs through a thought download and through doing the inner coaching model. A belief is a thought that we have been thinking over and over and over again. We no longer know we are thinking it. It became automatic. Beliefs usually come from society, from cultural conditioning, from advertisement, TV, movies, all those things. We have been seeing these things for a long time. We no longer see them as thoughts. We think they are facts. We think that is how things are supposed to be. That's how we believe. Like I said, beliefs come from cultural conditioning, TV and stuff, other people. Many of us carry beliefs that we have not questioned because, let's face it, we don't know that they are beliefs. We think that is how things are. For example, good mothers do not lose their temper. This is one of the things that even today, sometimes it comes up. I have gotten a ton of coaching on that in order for me to create space to question that and see it for what it is and not make it mean something about me. I have done a lot of coaching on that. I have been coached a lot on that. This is something that we think automatically we never question because many of us were not brought up to question our thoughts. We think everything that we think is true, but it is not. So these unquestioned beliefs often come from cultural conditioning, like I said, or past experiences. So we become curious about these beliefs and replace them with thoughts that align with our own values. So when you do a thought download and you see a thought and you become curious and you start to see that it is not true, you can replace that with what you want, with a thought that you want, that will align with your own values. Another way to write your own story is to build habits that support your thinking brain. Using your thinking brain is like training your bicep muscle. You have to do it constantly. Not constantly, but you have to do it regularly, consistently, in order for that muscle to start building. So in order for you to start using your thinking brain, you have to practice. You have to build habits that support your thinking brain. A thought download is one of the ways because it helps you differentiate between thoughts and facts. Practicing deep breathing in the heat of the moment when things are starting to boil, you practice deep breath, taking deep breath. Deep breath help create space between the situation and your would-be response or reaction. You create space between you and the thing. Because the primitive brain or the protective brain thinks everything is mangled together. But when you learn to take a step back and breathe deeply, you create space between you and the situation that is happening or the circumstance. Most of all, revisit your why. Revisit your reason why you want to do whatever it is that you're doing. For example, you could ask yourself, what kind of relationship do I really want with my preteen? After you have defined that relationship that you want, you have to keep going back to it because this is the thinking brain. You have to keep going back to it. You have to keep going back to it. When things get tough, you have to remind yourself why you are on this, you are doing this work. You have to keep reminding yourself why. You have to keep bringing that relationship at the front, the kind of relationship that you want. Maybe the one with connection and trust, the one that is mutual, the one that has like deeper, meaningful relationship with your child. You have to keep going back to that. You have to keep reminding yourself why. Otherwise, the protective brain will take over. And when you notice progress, maybe you paused before yelling. Maybe you repaired your relationship after a tough moment with your child. These seemingly small victories add up. They strengthen your thinking brain and they move you closer to the mother that you want to be. So picture yourself. A few weeks from now, your preteen has a problem. Instead of hiding it, they come to you because they trust your response. You handle it calmly, even if it's not a perfect way that you have handled it, but you handle it calmly. Now, your relationship feels stronger. This is what is possible when you rewrite your own story. Rewriting your story starts with understanding your brain and taking small intentional steps. It's not just about yelling less. It's about building the connection and trust you've always wanted with your child. So the next time you feel that inner tug of war, pause. I know it can be hard, especially in the moment. It feels awful, but you will not die. Pause. Picture the mom that you want to be. Listen to your thinking brain. And know that every small step you're taking is bringing you closer to that mother that you want to be. I wish you a peaceful holiday season, a peaceful Christmas season for those who will celebrate Christmas. Talk to you again next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Your time means the world to us. If you found this episode valuable, we would be immensely grateful if you could spare a moment to visit Apple Podcasts and share your thoughts through a review. Your feedback plays a vital role in helping fellow moms discover our podcast and enrich their own motherhood experiences. Take care and bye for now.